In the heart of Hancock Park, an upscale neighborhood in Los Angeles, California, a tragedy unfolded that would shock the community and leave an enduring scar. On January 13, 2022, Brianna Kupfer, a 24-year-old graduate student with a promising future, was brutally murdered while working alone in a boutique furniture store. What appeared to be an ordinary day at work turned into a horrifying crime that no one could have predicted. This is the story of Brianna's life, the events leading to her murder, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Hancock Park, known for its historic mansions, palm-lined streets, and affluent residents, is a neighborhood where violent crime is rare. It's the type of place where locals feel safe walking their dogs or enjoying an evening jog. However, the murder of Brianna Kupfer shattered this sense of security, reminding everyone that even the safest-seeming communities are not immune to tragedy. Croft House, the boutique furniture store where Brianna worked part-time, was a popular destination for high-end shoppers looking for handcrafted furniture. The store, located on La Brea Avenue, blended modern aesthetics with the charm of local craftsmanship. It was a place that reflected the vibrancy of its neighborhood, a stark contrast to the horror that unfolded within its walls. Brianna Kupfer was a young woman with a bright future. Born and raised in California, she grew up surrounded by a loving family who nurtured her dreams and aspirations. Brianna was ambitious, compassionate, and intelligent. She had recently enrolled in a graduate program at UCLA, where she pursued architectural design, a field that allowed her to combine her creativity with her keen analytical mind. Friends and family described her as someone who could light up any room. Brianna had a gift for connecting with people, always making those around her feel valued and heard. Outside of her academic and professional pursuits, she enjoyed reading, exploring art, and spending time with her close-knit circle of friends. Her passion for design led her to work part-time at Croft House, where she loved helping customers and contributing to the store's creative ambiance. January 13, 2022, began like any other day for Brianna Kupfer. She arrived at Croft House, a boutique furniture store she adored working at, prepared for a typical shift. The store's warm atmosphere and carefully curated furniture collections often made it a haven for Brianna, where she could engage her creative passions and assist customers. The late morning hours passed uneventfully, with only a few visitors coming in to browse. The store was quiet, almost serene, a reflection of the calm neighborhood outside. However, this peaceful day took an ominous turn around 1:30 p.m. when a man entered the store. At first glance, he seemed like any other customer. He strolled through the showroom, casually glancing at the furniture. Brianna, ever the professional, greeted him warmly. Her nature was to help, to connect, and to make every visitor feel welcome. But something about this man felt off. His movements were slow, deliberate, almost too calculated. As Brianna offered assistance, he responded politely but with an edge of detachment. He lingered near some of the pieces, his eyes darting around the room in a way that hinted at something beyond mere browsing. Brianna, unaware of the danger, continued her duties, remaining her friendly and attentive self. Then, in an instant, the energy in the room shifted. The man's demeanor darkened, his behavior becoming erratic and unsettling. What had started as a polite exchange became tense and uneasy. Suddenly, the man lunged at her, pulling out a knife he had concealed. The attack was brutal, swift, and horrifyingly deliberate. Brianna, caught entirely off guard, had no chance to defend herself. The man stabbed her repeatedly in a frenzied attack, his actions unprovoked and merciless. Within moments, the tranquil space of Croft House was transformed into a scene of chaos. Overturned furniture, bloodstains, and signs of a violent struggle bore silent witness to the tragedy that had just unfolded. The assailant fled the scene as quickly as he had entered, leaving behind no words and no explanation, only devastation. Croft House, once a place of creativity and beauty, now held the echoes of an unimaginable horror. Brianna's life had been stolen in an act so senseless and violent that the community would soon be gripped with fear and confusion. A customer entered Croft House shortly after the attack and discovered Brianna's body lying on the floor. Overwhelmed by the gruesome scene, the customer immediately called 911. Within minutes, law enforcement and paramedics arrived, but it was too late. Brianna was pronounced dead at the scene. News of her murder quickly spread through the neighborhood, leaving residents horrified and confused about how such an act could happen in broad daylight. The Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, immediately launched an intensive investigation, treating the case with the urgency it deserved. The brutal nature of the crime, combined with the shockwaves it sent through the community, demanded swift action.
24-year-old UCLA grad Brianna Kupfer stabbed 26 times, nearly 50 total knife wounds at the upscale Croft House furniture store in the Fairfax district in January 2022 in the middle of the afternoon.
Detectives arrived at Croft House and began meticulously piecing together what had happened. Every inch of the store was carefully examined for forensic evidence, from fingerprints on furniture to traces left behind during the violent struggle. Bloodstains, overturned furniture, and signs of chaos told a haunting story, but they did little to reveal the identity of the assailant. Outside the store, officers canvassed the area, interviewing witnesses who might have seen or heard anything suspicious before or after the attack. The lack of an obvious motive, no stolen items or apparent personal connections to Brianna, added an air of mystery to the case. Detectives were left wondering, was this a targeted attack or a random act of violence? The investigation gained momentum when detectives reviewed surveillance footage from Croft House and nearby businesses. The grainy but revealing images captured a man walking into the store shortly before the murder and later strolling calmly down La Brea Avenue just minutes after the attack. His casual demeanor was chilling, as if he had just gone about his day without a second thought about the life he had just taken. The man's identity remained a mystery for several days, but his image was unmistakable. The footage showed a tall, thin figure wearing dark clothing and carrying a backpack. The LAPD released these images to the public, hoping someone might recognize the suspect. The photos circulated widely across news outlets and social media, with headlines describing the man as armed and dangerous. The high-profile search for the murder suspect became one of the biggest in the Southern California region, with a $250,000 reward offered. As tips began to pour in, detectives dug deeper into the man's potential identity. The breakthrough came when multiple sources pointed to Shawn Laval Smith, a 31-year-old with a long history of run-ins with the law. His criminal record spanned multiple states and included charges of assault, theft, and other violent offenses. Detectives uncovered that Smith had been transient in recent years, moving between shelters and communities, often escaping justice due to gaps in the system. As investigators pieced together Smith's background, a chilling portrait emerged. He was a man with a history of violence, someone who had slipped through the cracks of the legal system time and again. Just weeks before Brianna's murder, Smith had been arrested on unrelated charges but was released on bail, a decision that would later spark widespread outrage. On January 19, 2022, after 6 days of intense searching, law enforcement located Shawn Laval Smith in Pasadena, California, approximately 20 miles from the crime scene. He was arrested without incident at a bus stop, bringing an end to the citywide manhunt. Smith's arrest brought a sense of relief to the community, but it also raised questions about how someone with such a violent past could remain at large. Smith had an extensive criminal record spanning multiple states, including charges of assault and property crimes. In the months following Smith's arrest, prosecutors worked tirelessly to build a strong case against him. He was charged with first-degree murder, with special circumstances for the use of a deadly weapon. These charges meant that Smith could face the death penalty if convicted. But here the question arises that what was the reason of such a brutal murder? Detectives speculated that the crime may have been a random act of violence committed by someone with a troubled history. It seemed Brianna had been at the wrong place at the wrong time, and her kindness toward a stranger may have unknowingly put her in harm's way. During the trial, prosecutors presented a wealth of evidence, including surveillance footage, forensic findings, and witness testimonies. They argued that the attack was premeditated, pointing to Smith's decision to bring a knife into the store as proof of his intent to kill. The brutality of the attack, coupled with Smith's lack of remorse, painted a chilling picture of a man capable of committing unspeakable violence. The defense attempted to argue that Smith suffered from mental health issues that impaired his judgment, claiming he was not in his right mind at the time of the attack. However, the prosecution countered with evidence of Smith's calculated actions before and after the murder, which undermined the defense's argument. After weeks of emotional testimony and detailed evidence, the jury reached a unanimous verdict. Shawn Laval Smith was found guilty of first-degree murder with special circumstances. The courtroom was filled with a mix of relief and sorrow as Brianna's family and friends listened to the verdict. While the conviction brought a sense of justice, it could never erase the pain of losing Brianna. In October 2024, Smith was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. For Brianna's family, the sentence was a bittersweet victory. They expressed gratitude for the justice system's efforts while mourning the loss of a bright and beautiful life that was cut short too soon. Brianna's murder left a lasting impact on Los Angeles and beyond. Vigils were held in her memory, with friends, family, and strangers coming together to honor her life. Her family established a scholarship fund in her name, ensuring that her legacy would continue to inspire others.